All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brantley Tyndall, Director of Bike Walk RVA, a program of the Sports Backers, and Sports Backers is the leading organization on this request for proposals. I'll talk a little bit about ourselves shortly, but I wanted to let you know that we are recording this for sharing in the future, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. This is for a request for proposals for a vision plan for the Fall Line Trail, a proposed 43-mile multi-use trail between Ashland and Petersburg in central Virginia. And it's the subject of a lot of excitement in our region in the past couple of years, and I'm happy to share some updates about the project itself and some of that excitement, as well as what we are looking for this planning initiative. If we can keep our questions to a fairly substantial discussion period at the end, but feel free to introduce yourself in the chat or to sort of compile some questions in the chat if you would like. And I want to give a quick introduction to two of my fellow staff members. Emily Monroe is the Bike Walk RVA Community Engagement Coordinator, so she's very involved with this project. And my supervisor, Megan Schultz at Sports Backers, is the Chief Operating Officer and certainly involved with the Fall Line as well. We do plan to record this and post on our YouTube page in case you'd like to either share or refer back to it later, and you can always contact me at brantley@sportsbackers.org. Without any other further ado, I'd certainly like to just move on and share my screen. Let me know if you do not see it. Once I get it going, I should say. Look good? All right. So what we're going to talk about today, we'll do a quick overview of Sports Backers and Bike Walk RVA. We'll talk about the Fall Line project. We will talk a little bit about what the vision plan is and should be, and then some details about the RFP and the application process. Certainly, this is not something that we do all that often at Bike Walk RVA, so we look forward to your questions, and please hit us with anything you can because we want to make it as easy and clear for you in this process. And then we'll wrap it up. Just a quick reminder is that we're anticipating proposals being submitted by 5 p.m. on February 6th. Sports Backers is a nonprofit sports commission in the Richmond region, inspiring people from all corners of our community to live actively. Our biggest bread and butter is our participatory sporting events like the Ucrops Monument Avenue 10K in late April. If you are looking for a 10K race to do, we encourage you to sign up. But that mission has grown into a number of programs, and Bike Walk RVA is one of them. We advocate for safe places to bike and walk, and over the past 11 years have made great strides in the Richmond region to build bike lanes, paved trails, crosswalks, sidewalks, traffic calming, lower speed streets, and a lot of associated work. We also have we lead a lot of grassroots efforts like RVA Bike Month and others to get people engaged and to be a part of the grassroots movement that makes all of this work possible. I'll say sort of the secret in our sauce is that we have a lot of community connections and really have direct services and products, and we really meet with hundreds of thousands of people in Virginia and the Richmond region who've done our events, who show up to our advocacy programming, and it's really, they're the real magic that makes all of this possible. The Fall Line Trail is certainly a signature part of that infrastructure building movement. Over the past 10 years, we've been helpful in getting bike ped plans of a variety in many of our localities in the Richmond region. In Richmond, Chesterfield, Hanover, there's one budding right now in Henrico County and in Petersburg. And as those plans were passed, starting back in about 2014, they started to show this clear line on the right here of where a signature trail could be. And some of these, existing projects that were either conceptual or had some work being done, and some of them are already on the ground, became part of this larger spine network that we think is going to be a transformative transportation and recreational resource in our region. The project really got legs in 2019 as VDOT implemented a feasibility study. At the time, the project was called the Ashland to Petersburg Trail. I like the name of that because it's shortened to ATP, which is the description of chemical energy that we use in our muscles. And but if you're not Ashland or Petersburg, people didn't really like the name very much, and so we are no longer called the Ashland to Petersburg Trail. In 2019, Sportsbackers led a summit that brought regional leaders from our 7 localities, as well as partner organizations, to learn about model trails. In this case, the Indianapolis Cultural Trail. Leaders from Indianapolis joined us at our Virginia Capitol Trail, another model project that's in the Richmond region, to really dream big, to learn about lessons from that trail. And one of the signature reasons why the Fall Line is modeled after the Indianapolis Cultural Trail is that it is an urban trail right in the heart of Indianapolis, where land and real estate are in high demand, but also trails implemented in that way have a high impact and really connect a lot of people. So that's very much one of the visions of the Fall Line, being an urban trail in the places that are already urban, to connect people to places where they really want to go, and all the economic and social activity is already happening. We Sportsbackers actually worked with our regional transportation organization, Plan RVA, to rebrand the Ashland to Petersburg Trail into the Fall Line. The Fall Line is a geological and hydrological phenomenon that is related to where seawater can make it up to altitude into our rivers, and it actually extends from New Jersey to Alabama, and the heart of it goes through the city of Richmond, and it makes the James River a focal point of our region, and of our it's the reason why Richmond is located where it is. It's as far as they could get boats up, and then so they settled here. We also think the Fall Line has a great name because it doesn't follow the naming convention of the something something trail, and certainly that there's nothing wrong with that naming convention, but we wanted to really differentiate the Fall Line from peer trails, and to make it have some mystery, and to think it has a little bit more of a staying power with the brand. It also follows in the tradition of the High Line in New York City, the elevated park from a rail trail sort of conversion that is, of course, top of its class. In 2020, former Governor Northam announced the new name in a regional event, and we've been running with it since. I'll say that certainly with the Ashland to Petersburg Trail and then the Fall Line, kind of getting a start during his administration, they were very instrumental in us getting a lot of energy that we have been able to carry forth. So far, there are not much has been constructed. The concept of this trail is only a few years old. Since the Fall Line project itself has been a concept, Ashland has completed their section from a previously named project called the Ashland Trolley Line. It's a little over half a mile. There is a Chester Linear Park in Chester and Chesterfield that has been a trail for a long time. It's unpaved, but generally speaking, most of this is the construction of the Fall Line is ahead of us, and that's why we're actually timing this vision plan to be concurrent with that, so that we don't miss any opportunities for placemaking and partnership building. I'll say, I think I had this on another slide, but we did get $104 million appropriated to this trail from a newly stood up at the time Regional Transportation Authority, the Central Virginia Transportation Authority. That accounts for about half of the fundraising we've done so far. This is a quick overview of some of our segments. For those who are not from the Central Virginia region, I'd like to just kind of give you a quick rundown. Before I go too far into this, I want to say that some of this trail is rural, some of this trail is suburban, and some of it is in our most dense urban corridors. And there's a lot of variety, there's a lot of opportunity, and there certainly are some challenges with implementing it in this way. Many trails are built where land is easy to get, readily available. This does not always follow that model. So Ashland is our northern terminus, and this is the section that was recently completed. Sort of a boardwalk model, and Ashland is a small-ish town that's in Hanover County, so it is built to the Hanover line. As you continue this walk, this is the continuation of the trolley line. The trolley line actually used to connect Ashland to the James River in the city of Richmond. That was the way to get hydrological power from the James River north into Ashland. And the trolley line 100 years ago actually offered 15-minute service. So in some ways, we're just trying to get that back. But there is an existing rail conversion project that is a part of this fall line effort. The trolley line then transforms into a power line cut through southern Hanover and northern Henrico counties. These pictures are actually from a well-attended Trailblazer event in 2021, where we had about 200 people walk the trail with us in the publicly available sections. This power line cut is several miles long. It actually crosses the Chickahominy River, and it looks like this or something similar for several miles in a row. But there's a lot of land to work with. This is actually Phil from Plan RVA and I at a different date kayaked the mighty Chickahominy River. So this is one of our river crossings. It's not the same scale as the James River, and it was good to do a little bit of ground truthing. The city of Richmond is I think it is the largest by mileage of the 7 localities that the fall line goes through. It is very diverse in the land and placemaking opportunities. This is a residential neighborhood south of the James River, where there is we actually helped paint this traffic calming mural. But it's also a bustling city, and this is where it crosses the James River. This is the Manchester Bridge, where it's currently aligned. It is aligned through downtown Richmond, and which presents, frankly, a lot of challenges because it's built out. There is existing built infrastructure. Some of it's new, some of it is old, some of it is tight, some of it is spacious. At the same time, the opportunity to make huge economic development, to connect multi-use trails to a huge number of employers and other urban land use connections is ripe, and it's really one of the main reasons we've had so much success advocating for the fall line throughout the region, is that of the impact that it can make going right through the heart of the city. This is also where you can almost see it on the eastern side of this picture. This picture is facing relatively north. The Virginia Capitol Trail is a 52-mile paved trail that originates at its western end here and heads 52 miles east to Jamestown, and has really been a huge success story for multi-use trails in Virginia and really nationally. I'll also say, as it relates to Richmond, there are a number of planning initiatives happening now. City Center, the Diamond District, Richmond 300 is its relatively new master plan. It's a ripe environment for the fall line to integrate with a lot of other existing efforts, and that's the fall line vision plan really needs to both give us a recommendation for how we can integrate with those existing and ongoing planning efforts, so that all of our planning efforts are the most successful and that the fall line can reach the most people. As we head south into Chesterfield County, this is the Chester Linear Park. It is a former rail bed, and actually south of Richmond, a lot of the alignment is a former rail bed that is publicly owned, and much of it is currently accessible. And in Chester Village in Chesterfield, it's actually a well-used, well-liked public amenity already. South of Chesterfield is Colonial Heights. Again, most of this is rail bed, and it will cross a reservoir, Swift Creek Reservoir at Lakeview Park, where a bridge will be built, and it should be a very signature park-like setting, and I would imagine, one of the most popular sections of the trail. And then ending in Petersburg, a very historic city. This is a former, these are the pylons from a former rail bridge where the river is much lower than the banks on both sides. And the alignment is actually now moved farther left from this picture. This is facing south, and the trail was recently realigned subtly downriver by a few hundred yards. But this will definitely be a focal point and very interesting terminus at the southern end in Petersburg. A quick update about the trail itself. So I've been in this business for about 10 years. I think that this is a really unique situation that we're in with the fall line. We've raised about 73% of the money before much of the trail has even been built. We expect the project could be about $260 to $300 million. And of course, every day we wait, it gets more expensive. But we have a big nest egg, and our localities, our region, the state, and all of our partners along the way are really working as quickly as they can to get this moving forward. There's a ton of energy when there's this kind of money already invested. I said about 104 came from a regional transportation authority. The bulk of it, of the remainder, came from our state, and some has come from the feds as well. A number of planning initiatives and guides have already been completed. So I do want to say that our partners, our government partners, are already moving forward to implement 2 phases. There is a design build phase with an open RFP now from the Ashland-Henrico County line near the northern terminus to the Chickahominy River. That's basically through Hanover County. And the southern section is scheduled to be opened later this year. That will be from Petersburg to Chester, where I was showing pictures of that existing linear park. And more information about those RFPs, which are very engineering focused, construction focused, are on the VDOT website. Henrico, if you're not from Virginia, you might not know this, but we have some interesting arcane transportation policies, and Henrico does not work with VDOT the way most of our other localities do. And it's implementing its own phases starting later this year. As far as other planning efforts are underway, VDOT has its own design guide that is in process. That's essentially an engineering study or an engineering guide, so that there is a consistent look and feel, considering how intersections look, how the pavement will look, that sort of design. So very engineering heavy on that one. And the CVTA recently funded, that's our transportation authority, recently funded a wayfinding and furnishings plan. So that's the kind of other half of the look and feel. That's signage, lines, furnishings like trash cans and benches and other sorts of purchasable amenities along the way, so that I should say that from the state level down, there is a lot of buy-in on the concept that the fall line should have a lot of consistency along its 43 miles. It's really perhaps the largest embodiment of regional collaboration that I'm familiar with in the Richmond region. We want to know when we're on the fall line, and we want to know when we're not on the fall line. And I'm being very clear about this because the fall line vision plan is not designed to redo any of the work in the design guide or in the wayfinding and furnishings plan. It's really much more external to that. So what is the fall line vision plan? We think the fall line is a unique trail concept. Certainly our region is fairly unique, and the fact that we're starting with such a big nest egg and many processes are moving concurrently, we sought a visioning document that will supplement what our government partners have been doing for the past few years. We don't need to pick a corridor. That's already been ironed out. We more or less know what a multi-use trail looks like, what traffic calming looks like. That's being finalized in the design guide. We more or less know, or we'll be deciding what our furnishings and wayfinding will look like. And we more or less know what our brand and branding identity is going to be. So the fall line vision plan is not any of those things. What we want the fall line vision plan to be is a community informed plan. It's a plan to bring in stakeholder engagement of a variety, from locality partners to partnering organizations, a number of nonprofits, neighborhood associations, and business partners to make sure that we are not leaving any placemaking and corridor development potential on the table as the trail gets developed. And I'll describe some examples of that on some subsequent slides. But what we want to see with this vision plan is a robust document. The document is really the important thing that we want to see, but it needs to be it needs to have a lot of community buy-in, and the point of it is to allow all of the energy and fundraising and focus on the fall line to help other placemaking efforts be realistic and have progress. And some examples that we've heard of, and we're not endorsing anything, or this is not to get into the weeds on this, but there's a lot of emphasis right now on heat island and tree canopy in the city of Richmond. That's not necessarily the case in other parts of the region, but that's one of the things that we hear about. We hear about public art and the opportunities for sculpture gardens, for murals, which are actually really a really big focal point in Richmond. We hear about connections to schools and corporate partners, neighborhood associations, that sort of thing. And this plan and the process for creating the plan will be a systematic approach to community engagement so that we have a reason to meet with people, to write their ideas down, and to compile them into something that's useful and marketable and can be agreed upon by all of our locality partners. Certainly our intent with this plan is not to push our localities to do things they don't want to do. We're not trying to realign the fall line. We're not trying to make any enemies, but we are trying to say there is an opportunity to do extra stuff, and it could be from a variety of different categories. We certainly have some clear ideas about some of them, but we know we don't know everything. We also want to make sure that this is visionary and that it brings people into the fold, that we're growing and leveraging enthusiasm. We have a lot of enthusiasm now, but we also want to make sure that people have felt heard and that they understand that the fall line is something that's going to be great for them, even if they're not biking and walking enthusiasts. They could be placemaking enthusiasts, they could be residents, they could work for Fortune 100 companies. A little bit about our selection. Sportsbackers as an organization is running this process. We sought and were awarded private fundraising to do this plan. So we're the customer. From our selection committee, it is not finalized who that will be yet, but we will draw from Sportsbacker staff, including the three of us on this call, and our board of directors, as well as our partners at our localities and region and our transportation planning friends. We also have an extensive network of professional planners, engineers, and other people in that field, sort of your APDP cohort, and we will be drawing on their expertise as well. And what we're looking for, we want a robust and well-ordered plan. Again, the plan is really the focus. How we get to that plan is community engagement. It is corridor analysis. It is finding examples of great trail placemaking throughout the world and seeing what would work here. But what we need is the document to be excellent and for us to be able to use it for our fundraising, both private and from government sources, to build community and political will, and to help us manage a lot of concurrent things. Because the trail will be being built at the same time that skate parks are being built and trees are being planted and zoning is potentially being changed, something like a trail-oriented development kind of zone. So those are all on the table for what we're looking for. We definitely want innovation, creativity, and a compelling placemaking story to tell. It is our goal to make the fall line not just a great trail, but to be world-class. And so we really want to be separated from our peer trails through, frankly, to say novelty and interactivity in a way that people will really think that this is something special. We have some ideas for how to make that possible, but we are looking for some expert feedback and additions to what we have in mind. We definitely don't think the fall line vision plan should be boilerplate. We think that this is a really unique thing, and while we are looking for examples from other places around the world, we definitely want to see an opportunity to do something new that will really inspire people to look at the Richmond region as a leader. We do not want general descriptions of bike ped infrastructure. If you've got a chapter in that kind of thing sitting around on a shelf, we don't want that in our plan. And we like to see from you something like a proven development process. How are you going to put your plan together so that we can see if your approach is the right one for us? This is just one slide. I'm not going to go into a presentation about this, but one of the roles that we played, and I think is substantive to our discussion today as advocates, is we have led 2 trips to DC over the past 10 years with local leaders, VDOT leaders, and by leaders I mean elected officials, transportation directors, planning directors, to see comparable projects that involve not just trail building, but the associated trail development or trail-oriented development and economic development. These are just a couple of examples, but the picture on the top is a section of the WOD Trail in Falls Church, Virginia, that was widened because it was such a popular amenity, and we certainly want the fall line to be this popular. It was widened from about 10 feet to about 18 feet in order, and in this particular case, biking use and walking use were separated for a safety and sort of coordinating standpoint. But we want to anticipate where the fall line will be the most popular, in part because of the amenities and placemaking that we're looking to help implement, so that we can see recommendations for engineering improvements. Again, this is not designed to be an engineering plan, but we do want to use your expertise and knowledge to say, wow, there's something magic about this place, but we also have to maybe anticipate conflicts, and another set of eyes on that kind of framework could be really important to us. And the bottom picture also in Falls Church is, and you can't really see off the left of the picture, we're meeting with the director of planning of Falls Church, who's talking about economic development, residential associated uses with trail-oriented development along the WOD. We want to see some forethought into what the fall line alignment will look like in 5 or 10 years. We imagine that there's going to be housing development. We imagine there are going to be mixed use developments. What's your best perspective on what that's going to look like, and some demographic analysis of where people will live, who will they be, and beyond. Some of that's all written out in our RFP, and certainly I can answer more questions about that. Some other takeaways. From that trip, the WOD Trail was also or received an investment to cross to replace an at-grade crossing of an arterial intersection that was affectionately known as the intersection of death. A bridge was built over that intersection to allow trail users to not have to cross at grade with cars. This is another example of potentially looking at the fall line alignment for what I've been calling safety hotspots. Like, is there a glaring intersection or spot along the fall line that, if funding were available, should receive some additional investment to prevent conflicts? And on the right here is, again, the widening of that trail. How else can we go big on vision? These are just 2 examples that I'm personally familiar with. The Hub and Ring, sort of an elevated bike roundabout, and the Tillicum Crossing in Portland, Oregon, that is a bike ped only plus public transit bridge that also has a kaleidoscope mood ring lighting scenario that I think makes it novel and interesting and really unique from other bridge projects, and of course incorporates some really beautiful and intuitive wayfinding that I think is novel. So what opportunities are there for that level of placemaking, innovation, and frankly investment that could be forthcoming? If Sports Backers is going to be successful raising money for this sort of thing, we have to have a pretty good picture of what it's going to be. A couple of other examples, you're probably all familiar with this solar covered trail in Korea, and a personal wish list of mine is trailside skate parks. This one I think is in Vermont, but I've seen a few both on Falls Church or in Falls Church, on the WOD and the Schuylkill River Trail in Philadelphia, just two examples that I'm familiar with. We definitely want to not only get people active using the trail, but to get to places that they can be active, such as a cool skate park. What should we expect? A lot of neighborhood meetings. We will help the successful applicant come up with some specific meetings that we definitely think are going to be important. We think that you're going to need to meet with the localities, and this is something that we can help coordinate as well as our partners at least twice in this process, because again, we're going big on vision, but we need to make sure that they buy into the vision along the way. We also have a number of groups and partnering organizations that we can help tease out those meetings. We also run a Friends of the Fall Line quarterly group that can have a lot of participants from around the region. They will be very instructive to this both from a contributing substance, but also from getting some buy-in on the vision plan as it's being built out. And a reminder, also listed out in the RFP, we would like the Fall Line Vision Plan to be completed by October. I will say that this is new to us. We don't do this sort of planning effort all the time. If you make a compelling case that it needs to be longer, or there's a different timeline that you have in mind, give us your best case. But certainly this is what our where we put our stake in the ground. And with that, I'm known to monologue a little bit, so I'm going to pass the microphone around a little. I'll say Emily will be assisting with any technical stuff, muting, unmuting, or whatever. But feel free to unmute yourself or to raise your hand if you have a question, a comment, or anything else to share. All right, I'm going to go through some more chats here. Let's see. Looks like, I'm not sure if everyone had any trouble hearing me or viewing my slides. If you did, please let me know. If not, then it might also be just one particular person. I bet you had some thoughts. Oh, I want to also, well, I see him here. We have a local partner here, Phil Reagan with Plan RVA, our Richmond regional planning staff. So thanks for being here, Phil. All right. Well, I'm without any other questions or comments, I'm happy to give you some time back in your day. I will be shortly stopping the recording, and we'll be putting it on our YouTube page. That's the Sports Backers YouTube page.
Hi, Brantley. This is Che Huang from Marvel here. I do have a quick question about the specific, about any, if you can share any specific requirements for, the response in terms of like format, page limits, or, I know you sort of went through, the content, briefly, but, any sort of like structure that you're looking for,
Sure. Thanks, Jay. I'll say that we're the cool teachers, and we don't have a lot of page limit requirements over here at Sports Backers. But I'll say, make a compelling case, and don't leave anything you think is important out.
Okay.
If you want to submit it via video, and you think that's the way to do it, shoot, I'll watch video.
All right. Cool. Thank you. This is a very exciting opportunity.
Thank you. We're having a lot of fun over here.
Yeah, I can tell. It's great. Great energy. Thank you.
Anyone else? I've got 24 minutes left on my calendar, but I'm happy to, read the paper.
So Brantley, I'll ask a quick one. What do you see as the biggest challenges to completing the vision plan effectively and efficiently? What should we look out for?
That's a good question, and what I think the answer to that question is not what is challenging about building the fall line, right? So like, what's building the fall line is making our governments work faster and get acquire land and do contracts on implementation. that is work that we're doing, but it is not exactly what the fall line vision plan is designed to do. I think giving us something that looks like it's meant for a transportation firm is probably something to avoid. Like, don't give us, we're not looking for something that is an analysis of the corridor from an engineering standpoint. That we have a lot of people already doing that. So I think getting out of your normal frame is probably the biggest challenge. And we would love to, if anything, I'd like to encourage you to think of this as an opportunity to do some of the creative stuff that you do as placemakers of whatever profession you bring to the table. Get outside your box a little bit, and I know that can be a little bit challenging. Did I miss anything in my presentation about the fall line, Phil, or others that you think might be useful for professionals in this realm?
I don't think so. I mean, there's a million things you could miss, but obviously whoever gets into it, they can run questions by you later. I'll put my contact in the chat too, so you can get in touch with me if you need. But yeah, I mean, it's a 43-mile corridor, and there's a lot of different terrain and different, like you said, rural, urban, and suburban territory. So it's just a lot of different aspects.
All right. Well, it's mentioned on the RFP page, but feel free to submit your proposal directly to me at brantley@sportsbackers.org. If it comes early and you have some questions in there, I'm happy to give you some guidance. And I'm the cool teacher, so have some fun with it. All right. Well, I'm happy to let you all go. Thanks for joining us, and I'm happy to be a resource. We've got a deadline February 6th. Have a good afternoon.
Thanks, Brantley. Thanks.
Thank you.